16th April will forever be etched in the mind of Gifty Tokornu. She received news that changed the entire course of her life.
The school organized the blood donation to Kolebu Blood Bank. So a week or two later, our then director of study ordered all of us who could not donate to avail ourselves for sugar diabetes test, which we all avail ourselves. So when the result came out, I was told I was not having diabetes. But he asked me not to go. When I entered the office, he wasn't there alone, he was there with another officer. And she just threw it into my face that, Gifty, I'm sorry to tell you, you have HIV.
She was utterly devastated. Gifty was only 6 weeks away from graduation that would see her start her life as an officer with one of the security agencies. But that dream never materialized when the security agency informed her that they cannot employ her because of her HIV status.
So I decided to confirm it. So I chose police hospital. So after the test, she told me that, Gifty, you tested positive. My brother, it was eclipse of the sun. I wept, I don't know how many buckets of water that I got tears. So she asked me to flow. I cried, and when I was okay, she gave me the post-test counseling. But then there was nothing like antiretroviral. So all she told me is that I should just eat well because there's no medicine. She gave me 2 envelopes. Said, this is your result. It's yours. Don't give it to anybody. But take this envelope and give to them. 19 years now, what I can remember is that the end tail of the letter, she said, our client is strong and healthy. Don't do anything stupid to her. She used the word stupid. So I said, okay, since she's not asking them to sack me, then I have the room to go back. Immediately I got into the training school, he spotted me. So he asked me to follow him to the office. I did follow him, and what he told me was that order from above said you should go home. On what basis are you asking me to go home? Order from above said you should go. You are a recruit, listen to me. No written letter. I went home by verbal instruction.
The strong stigma and the fear of death consumed her. She then decided to end it all immediately.
Life became so difficult for me now. I have nothing to lay my hand on. My work has been taken away from me. Now, calls to disturb me with others. So I concluded that let me take my life. A few days later, I prepared my own concoction, which I will not disclose. Just want to leave this world and be free. So I took it, but I went to sleep. Nothing happened. If not today that I'm telling you, no one knew I tried taking medication to kill myself because I was tired of this life.
But after this failed attempt at suicide, her life took another turn. A radio show on HIV on Joy FM will be the trigger for her open disclosure of her status and her new life as an HIV ambassador.
I think 2007, there was HIV Deba, World AIDS Day at Obra Sports. And when I was going on my way, I was in Odoko Trotro, that long bus, and then Joy FM. Joy FM was discussing about HIV on a very negative manner, which I got angry in the car. I took my phone and then called and then blasted them about how they were saying. In fact, the way they were discussing it, it looks as if everybody that gets HIV being immoral and stuff. So that is why I attacked them. But I was on my way going to the Deba. So when I got to the Deba, our then president wanted someone to disclose to the public for people to know that if you have HIV, you don't look that sick that people think. Everybody refused. And I don't know, I was just carried from the chair and I moved to the podium and I spoke. And I finished doing it before I realized that I did something. So when I did, somebody was among the crowd, spotted me, and then came to me and said, asked of my name, I mentioned my name, you know, you go a bit good you'll be a good material. I didn't understand what the person said. In 2010, I was there when Ghana Ace Commission called me that they would like to engage me in ambassadorial work. In fact, it was a bit tough for me, but I said no. I have to do something for myself.
Gifty has since then dedicated her life to the work of advocacy, encouraging people living with HIV to live and achieve their full potential, especially women. She would later find love again in the place she was initially shunned, her church.
One Friday, I went to evening mass and I was going for communion. I realized everybody was running fast to go for communion before me. I said, this is too much. And then when we come out, you see people grouping, they'll group in a small group. When they see me coming, then they spread. I said, So my mind started telling me that these people were discussing me. So I went to the priest and told the priest that this is what I am suspecting people are doing to me. And I wouldn't leave the church because of them. So he asked me, Gifty, what do you want us to do? I said, Father, give me the altar to talk to them. He said, can you? I said, I've already come to TV. So the altar there is not a problem. During the homily, the priest said he's not ready to give homily today, that he wants somebody to give homily. So he sat for 2 minutes, nobody stood up. And then he stood up and told the crowd that, okay, one of us, a lady, would like to give homily. Say, hey, lady. And then he mentioned my name. Come and see the chapel. As if we were in the market. I stood up and then I gave them the story of how I got to know my status and how people started maltreating me in this church. My brother, men were weeping in the church as if they were beaten. In fact, the then Director General also came out, spoke and then educated the crowd, and that ends that discrimination in the church.
When it comes to stigma, the church, families, society, all of us, we have a role to play. She is one of us, our own. So imagine we rejected her and threw her out. She wouldn't be happy. So we as a church, we who preach the good news, Christ accepting all, the poor and the needy, must accept those who for no fault of theirs are living with HIV. So the church has a role to play. And I'm happy that we here at St. Paul Catholic Church, we have taken up that challenge and that role of embracing all so that we can give them Christ.
The day I disclosed my status in the church, my husband was sitting there. I didn't know he was my husband because we were in the same group. After some months, he came here in the choir. After some months, he called me on phone and decided I should meet him at the church. When I met at the entrance, he said, I would like to marry. I said, are you crazy? I asked you, are you crazy? He said, I want to marry. I said, you want to marry me? For what? No, I knew I wanted to marry, but the way he came about it, I didn't understand it. How would your people feel? Said, I'm not marrying HIV, I'm marrying you. That's what he said. And so I gave it a try, and then in 2014, we tied the knots.
Despite the years of campaign, Gifty says stigma is still a challenge, especially at the workplace. She tells me many companies would not employ her despite her qualification, adding that workplace abuse and stigma is still high.
It's still ongoing because I'm a volunteer at the Fevers unit at Kolibo, and these issues have been coming to me. People are losing their marriages because of their status. People are losing their job because of HIV. People are going into uniform job during the medicals. When they realize that they are positive, they are not being picked. Meanwhile, when when I was in the training school, apart from the malaria I had, everything that college were doing, I was doing.
Section 32(4) of the Ghana AIDS Commission Act 2016, Act 938 states, the HIV status of a person, the partner or close relative of that person shall not constitute a reason to A. refuse employment or B. terminate the employment of that person, except where an employer can prove that the requirement of that employment in question is that an employee must be in a particular state of health or medical or clinical condition. 6. An applicant for employment shall not be tested to ascertain the HIV status of the applicant for the purpose of recruitment, promotion, or any other reason. Fortunately for Gifty Tokornu, the work of advocacy together with family support paid her bills. But since the campaign took a nosedive, Gifty has now turned to poultry and grass cutter rearing. For her, this enterprise has been fulfilling and rewarding. Over 23,000 people have tested positive for HIV in the first half of 2022 alone. Gifty wants the campaign stepped up for infected persons to know that they can live their fullest potential once they stick to the protocols of treatment.
Maybe we have gone back to sleep where we have to wake up and then intensify the education. So I will urge everybody, know your status. And if you know your status and you are positive, live positive life. That is what I've been living. I've been living positively with the virus. Someone will ask, what is the meaning of living positively with it? I think positively about myself. I have accepted my status. I assess treatment. I adhere to my treatment. My daily life is okay. Go ahead, and the life is so beautiful for me. If I had not told you that I have HIV, how would you know?
The fight against the HIV/AIDS epidemic is a collective responsibility. We all must put our shoulders to the wheel, beginning with our posture and how we perceive persons living with HIV. Shun the stigma, because stigma kills. Ernest Menu, Joy News.